All right, everyone. Good evening. Glad to see you all out here joining me today. Glad to be a part of this again. Again, my name is Mario Gray. I'll be going over the section of credit mindfulness. A little bit about myself. I'm an intelligence analyst with the United States Air Force with the Air National Guard. I've been doing that for about 24 years now. Whew. I'm also a supervisor at a 911 center in Trenton, New Jersey. And I like to tell people, credit is not something I can say I'm a professional at. It is something that I learned some lessons, some good lessons, some hard lessons from people and from companies. So it's one of the things that I have become very passionate about. And my thing is, when I have made certain mistakes and bumps in the roads, I like to share my experiences and things with people. So you can decide if you want to share those same bumps or if you can learn from what I've bumped my head on and say, there's no need for me to bump my head as hard or in the same way. You may want to bump your head in a different way, but at least what we're trying to do is prepare you for these bumps in the road. And now some of the things that I'm going over, I do understand that some of it may be a review. A previous class did go over some of the credit aspects as well. So the first thing I want to get from y'all, you can tell me, what do you remember from your previous credit class? Get some input from you.
Dig up those notes.
I got it. All right. So what I learned is that your credit score starts at 300. 40% is payoff payments, 21% is credit history, 20% credit usage, 11% total balances, 5% recent credit, and 3% available credit. And then there's three different ones: TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And another thing I wrote down was to avoid inquiry, because it takes about 2 years to get that fixed. So
Very good. Very good. How about anybody else?
I don't know if Jeremy left anything for anybody else.
Anybody else have any thoughts y'all remember from it? If not now, it's okay, because one of the things that we're going to do tonight, it's going to be certain things you're probably going to hear, and then you're going to be like, yeah, that's right, I do remember that. So it's going to be a review. It's going to be a little bit of reinforce, and then what I'm hoping is we can expand on certain things to increase the knowledge. So that's going to be a good thing. What the goal is basically to make you all an educated consumer, because you all will be consumers of credit. And to become an educated consumer, now you basically become a powerful consumer, because that puts the power in your hand. Now someone can't just tell you something and just expect to get over on you, because you'll at least have a base knowledge of certain aspects of it. This is something that I hope that when you're going through it, this will give you some knowledge, and then you'll want to even expand it on your own and look up certain things, maybe even take certain classes or things like that to get you even more ready for the things you're going to partake. And I will start sharing my screen, if I'm doing that right. Okay. Share. Okay. Come on. I'm trying to move.
Everybody's on now, Mario, just FYI.
Right.
You got 7 students.
Great. trying to move that out of my way. All right, and I'm in the wrong area. Okay. Boom. Trying to make it do the slideshow thing. Okay, here we go. All right, so again, everyone, this is Credit Mindfulness. I am Mario Gray. And again, we're going to be reviewing some for the ones that came in a little late. Reviewing, we're reinforcing, and we're hoping to expand on everything. An overview of some of the things we're going to be talking about, some credit basics. We're going to how to establish and monitor your credit, improving it, why it's important, establishing some business credit, and I also have a savings plan example at the end. What I'm hoping, well, actually not what I'm hoping, what I'm sure you'll all able to be able to do, define what credit means. And that part may be a review again, identifying what it is, why it's important, understanding those differences. And then you'll be able to come up with your own tips, because your situation, you'll notice, everybody's situation is going to be different. So as you go along, you'll be able to get your own tips and strategies to how to improve your own credit. So on the basics, that's the first part. People are like, what actually is credit? Whether it is money, whether it's not, but it's the ability to borrow money or access goods or services. Like if you wanted to rent a car and you're using credit cards. When I purchased my house and I'm accessing this house, I didn't have the $200,000 in my pocket. So I had to approach a bank, and based on my credit score, they said, okay, Mr. Gray, we'll loan you this money for your house purchase, and those creditors, they're granting that credit based on the confidence that I can be trusted to pay it back. I'm considered credit worthy. So basically what I like to say in a nutshell, when you coming to the definition of your credit, it's basically your reputation that these banks and creditors are sharing with each other all across the world when you approach them trying to get their goods or services. And how credit works, as Jeremy stated in before, here's our 3 credit bureaus: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And one of the things that you'll notice in there, these banks and credit card issuers, it's a voluntary report. So that's one of the important factors. Not everyone reports what you're doing to the credit bureau. Not everyone may report to the same credit bureau. You may get somebody that only reports to Experian. Certain companies may only report to Equifax or TransUnion. So we'll get to it later, but when you're monitoring your credit and looking to improve it, that's why it's very important that you look at all 3 companies. I'm not sure how many of you have looked at a credit report, but when you're looking at it, and you're going to be looking at those basic 6 areas on my right, your personal information, your credit history, consumer statements, credit inquiries, your public records, and collection amounts. Hopefully you don't have any of those. I try to break it down a little bit more detail on the left, basically that number of credit card accounts you have, the loans you have, installment loans. If you have missed payments in your 60 or 90 days, that's going to show in your credit reports. If you have major financial setbacks, foreclosures, sometimes if people have taken out a lawsuit against you and things like that are going to show up in your credit report. Does anybody have any questions up to this point on the credit report? Because I don't think that's something that y'all talked about before. What I wanted to show you in this next one is...
Mario, I think somebody has a question. Jeremy?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
Why do you think it's important for the credit card bureau to note down how many accounts you have?
That's a very good question, because basically they want to know, are you overextending yourself? So if you have, let's suppose you have one credit card and it has a limit of $5,000. So they're giving you that credit based on how much money you're making a year. So let's suppose you have that one and then you get another credit card for 10,000. You get another credit card. You open up all these credit cards, then they're going to look at it as you're overextending yourself, especially if you have taken these to the limit. Because now it's going to be figured out that you're going to have a hard time paying us back. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so it was like it's like if you have more, it will be more difficult for you to just pay them all back on time. So it's like giving yourself a amount of stress that you don't need.
Exactly. And you'll be doing the things that I still remember as the saying when I was younger, where you were robbing Peter to pay Paul. You'll put something on one credit card to try to pay off another one. But in the way you're doing that, you're not making any headway. And I wish I had showed that, but if you look at a credit card and if you pay the minimum balance on it, it would take you probably a good 20 years if you had, let's say, $5,000 and you were making the minimum of $30 a month payments. You'll be paying on that credit card for a very long time. And in that time, you're going to pay an inordinate amount of interest. Any other questions?
Yes, Jonathan's hands up.
Okay. Jonathan, what's your question?
So my question is, if you have like, but just as like a hypothetical, is there a way where you could have more than like maybe like more than four credit cards open and still be able to pay them off and have a good credit score?
You could, as long as you're using them properly. If you're using them in a way to where you're not maxing them out. So if let's suppose you had 4 credit cards and each of them has, I'm just going to pick a number. Each of them has like $500 that you've used on it. You've used $500 of credit on each. So total you have $2,000. Depending on what you're making, as your salary, it's very realistic. You could pay those off. Even if and I'm not suggesting this, even if you got your tax refund and used your tax refund to pay them off. But in certain ways, as long as you're making more than a minimum amount, as long as you're paying more than a minimum amount, then you're going to be making headway on paying those off in a timely fashion. But if they're saying that the minimum is $30 and that's all you're paying, you're going to be locked into that vicious cycle of 10 to 15 years of paying something off. But if you have $500 on there, and I'm not going to take into account your interest rate, but $50, 10 months is $500. It's going to be some interest payments in there, so you're not going to quite pay it off. But if you were paying it that off at that rate at $50 instead of the 30, you're going to see the balance go down rather quickly.
All right, and one more question. Could your credit score go below 300?
I believe 300 is the low, is the bottom. Like it just bottoms out there. I don't
And
believe
if so, why is 300 the low instead of 0?
That's a good question. I'm not sure why 0 isn't the lowest you can go. But yes, they've They've designed it to where that's the range from 3 to 850. Yeah, so all those people, all those smart, very smart people who came up with the numbers and how things affect it, whether something will make it go up or down and things like that. As they came up with this system that we've pretty much all accepted. Any other questions for this?
I had a question. Sorry.
Sure.
Question. So you would be, I guess, you'd be more, well, not more likely. Like, so if you had, let's say, like 4 accounts, 4 credit cards open, and you're not paying them back, would that make you more likely to be like less susceptible to like getting another credit card, or I guess, like, yeah, would you not be able to open another account if you already are like owing money, if that makes sense? Or can you just have as many accounts and just, yeah.
The sad part about with where we're at, most of the time it's going to be someone out there willing to extend you money, willing to loan you. Now, the cost for that is going to may be different, because you may notice, let's say on those first 4 credit cards, you were doing well with your credit scores. Let's say you were at 750. Now you've got those 4 cards and you're not paying them. The next person that offer you, now let's say you're down to like a 650, where the other credit cards were offering you an interest rate of, let's say, 12, 15%. These other credit cards now that are coming after that with your lower credit score, they may want 20 and 28% from you. So it will in the long run cost you more money. Does that answer your question?
Yes, because I think I don't remember, because I took a finance class in my junior year, and they talked about how, like, I think it's banks or something, like when you owe money to the bank and stuff, they're I'm trying to remember what they said. Like with credit cards and stuff, if they see that you're doing bad, they're gonna keep like wanting more money from you, if that makes sense. I don't remember exactly what they said, but yeah,
Yes.
basically.
Yes, they get more money through you from different ways. The more money can do from higher interest rates, they can attach different higher annual fees on the credit card that you're qualifying for. It's so many different ways to get more money from you, especially when they mail you that credit card statement. It's usually so many pages, and most people do not read the fine print in them. So it definitely costs you more money.
Are you, Mario, are you gonna go over like, I guess the differences with like, no fee and the credit cards with no fees versus the ones with fees and the interest rates? I think that might be what she's referring to.
Yes, we will be touching on that a little bit later with the different types of cards, because give you a heads up, like different apps that can monitor your credit, so they'll give you like a more personalized selection of what you'll qualify for, and then it's up to you to figure out which ones fit your situation best. And we'll definitely be going into more detail on that when we a little bit later. Any other questions at this time? Okay. What I have up on the screen example is from the TransUnion and credit report example. So for those of you who have never seen that TransUnion credit report, it reads down pretty simple. Your name and information. It has your score on it. And then you'll see on there the score factors. These are some of the things that cause your score to go up or cause your score to go down. If you've got numerous delinquent accounts, accounts that you're behind on, it's going to reflect in your score. That's going to cause you to go down. You'll see on the second line of that, under that score factor, we're talking about the insufficient payment activity over the last year. That's basically mean you aren't making payments on time. And if this was one example that showed it in the credit report, where they mark in your 30 days behind, your 90 days behind, 120, as those numbers get higher, you know, it's going to seriously affect your credit score. And the cards can either, you know, request. Some of them may want their money in full if they don't feel that you're going to pay them off in time. They're going to attack your credit reports. They may even attempt to garnish wages and things like that. And this is how an Experian one would look. You know, it's pretty much the same. They just have, it's just slightly different setup.
I can't see it.
You can't.
No, all it says is credit report example. That's it.
Okay, not sure what's going on. Let me try to
I think we see
It's
it.
up now.
Yeah, I
now.
can see it now. I can see it now.
Yo, Jonathan, you can see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right.
If I go back to slideshow, does it? Hold up. Can you see
Yeah,
it
it's
now?
there. It's there.
I
It's
can
there.
still see it now.
Okay. All right, great. But again, yes, that is just basically the same basic information, you know, your personal information, your credit score, and again, those score factors. And we'll go into it later about this is going to be very important if things on there that you're disputing. You know, if you're looking on there and it's something that doesn't sit right with you, like they have a different name on there, that's like how they have other names and you've never used another name, that may be a hint that someone may have done something to your credit score without your knowledge. That's why it's important to look over, to become familiar with the credit report, how it looks, the information that's in there, so that again, we're making you that educated consumer. All right, and this is one of the things we had discussed over a little bit. They're using that 3-digit credit score from the 300 to the 850 to give you that FICO score. And this part is where I wanted to discuss the hard inquiries versus the soft inquiries, because those affect your credit scores. When you'll look on the credit scores, credit reports, and you'll see that some people, well, there are inquiries into your credit. And basically all that means is you applied for credit somewhere, and now that creditor who you asked for credit is now looking into your credit report to see if they can loan you the money or the goods or services that you're requesting. So if you have too many of those, it's going to reflect negatively, because now you're going to have a bunch of creditors who are basically trying to give you money. Too many of those, it's looked at as a bad thing. Now, a soft inquiry is when you do your own, when you pull your own credit. That's what's considered a soft inquiry, and that doesn't really reflect on your score. So that's why normally before I'm applying to something, I usually pull my credit score every year. Actually, my credit report from all three. So there is usually, I'm gonna say not all the time, but if something is on there, I should be aware of it before anyone else, before it's brought up in a bad way, let's put it that way. But you do have different creditor monitoring apps, and this is the way you can keep track of things on a yearly basis as well. I'm sorry, monthly, because that's why I do mine. Okay. Now, these percentages are a little bit different than what y'all went over with the previous class. I think my statistics are a little bit older than what y'all had, because I had mine from, this was from the Experian back in 18. I think that's what it showed on the site that I got this off of. But the main thing is payment history is going to be your main point. That's going to be your major impact. If you are paying your bills on time, you know, the amount owed, that's another huge factor. So if you have that credit card that's $5,000, you really don't want to go more than about 30% of that, because then it's going to reflect negatively on your credit report, which I will admit in the very beginning, that baffled me. It was baffling, because if you're saying that you're giving me $5,000 to use, why can't I use all 5,000 of my dollars? Because at that point, I feel like they're mine. But again, when you're understanding credit, they're not all yours. You're asking it from someone else. So they feel that if you are overextending yourself, if you go over a certain amount and you're using too much of that credit. And when you look at that stat, that one I did update from this year, 59% American score was above 700. So I'm not sure if it actually went up from 21 slightly, but hopefully during COVID, people started taking a little bit more financial care, getting a little bit, buckling down a little bit more, and just becoming a more educated consumer. And that's what we all want. Let me see. Hold up. It was something I wanted to share with you before I did that. Next one.
I got a question.
Sure.
Why is length of credit history? Why do you think it's important? Because somebody who has had a credit card for a long time could have a bad credit score, and someone who just got it could be informed about how to use credit and could probably use their credit card better than somebody else.
That is very true. Now, I can't tell you why it's important. I can tell you how they figure it into there. And the how is basically because, and this is why I tell people to be very careful if they're going to cancel older accounts. Because if you have an account that's, let's say, 5 years old and you're not really using it, but you just have one that you just got, it's a year old. So out of those two accounts, you have a total history of roughly 6 years when you're adding up the two. So when they average it out, they're saying your average credit history length is 3 years. If you cancel the oldest one, now you have your oldest account is 1 year. So why they do it that way? They like to see stability. That can be the easiest answer. I can explain it. It would be the same way as if somebody's looking at your job history and they say, okay, you've had, let's say, 4 jobs in the past 4 years. So the way they would look at that is they'll say, okay, well, your job history isn't really stable. But if you're saying, okay, well, for the past 4 years, I've worked for this one employer, this is where I've worked, that reflects positively for them. That would be my assertion as to why they do it that way, as showing it with the history. It shows the stability. Any other questions before I moved on?
Yeah. So the length of your credit history is basically how long you've been with birthday, or what is the length of credit history?
The length of credit, they're basically going to add up all the years that you have had credit, how long you've had these different accounts. Like if you've had, like I said, you've taken out a loan back in 2020. So you've had this loan for 2 years, and you've had other installment loans or credit cards. Let's suppose you had a credit card that you took out back in 2000. So the first thing they do is they add it up, because they'll say, okay, you're 2 years for this loan, you're 20 years for this loan, and they'll add them all up, and then they just divide it by how many credit cards or installment loans that you have. You have a total of 6, and they take, let's say it all adds up to 30 years. They take all your 6 loans or credit cards, they divide it into, and your average credit history becomes 5. So any time that you've had credit, it's a part of your credit history. Any other questions with that one? Okay. We're going to actually play a little game before we do this. It's a play the credit score game. So I'll need some of y'all input for this one. I hope y'all unmute. And basically what happens is they're going to give us different scenarios, and I want y'all to tell me what you feel the impact on the credit score would be. All right. So before we begin, you can see it's telling us we have to pick a score. Right. All right. So somebody give me a score we're going to go with. Are we going to go with the 491, the 569, the 599, the 732, or the 826?
I think we should go for the highest one.
Same here.
The 826. All right. All right. So what that says is you are a model citizen with a good mix of credit.
I think we should do 732. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Hold on, I can't. Trying to move my screen here. Okay, here we go. All right. Yeah, that one says, I'm trying to read the rest of it. You keep utilization low, even though you have lots of credit available on your cards. The average age of your credit file is more than a decade, with one account going back 27 years. And that goes back to what I was talking about, the credit history. That's what they're actually referring to on that. Now, if we look at the one for the 732, that one says you have one credit card that you use sparingly, one auto loan, which is almost paid off. Your oldest account is about 3 years, and your on-time payment record is spotless. So we'll take a vote here. How many people want to do the 826, and how many people want to do the 732? Who's speaking up for the 826?
You got them in the chat,
Oh,
Mario.
I
So
don't have the chat up. I'm sorry.
Jeremy,
732 is winning.
yeah,
732 is winning.
majority vote.
Okay. All
Besides
right.
Jeremy, everyone else put 732.
All right. Okay, so I'll pick this one. All right. So here's our first scenario. After a perfect record, you miss a credit card payment. How badly would it hurt your very good score? So someone give me a guess as to what they think the impact will be on our score. How many points will it affect it?
I think we go to like 700 or 705. I don't think it's gonna impact us very much because it says spotless, so we're usually on time. So it shouldn't affect us that much.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take it down. Did you say 700 or 705?
I said in between there, but you can pick one.
All right. All right. I'm going to leave it there at 703, which is taking us down 29 points for that. And let's see what it says. Look at that. Actual change of minus 89 points. We underestimated by 60 points.
Yeah, you gotta walk that tightrope. Gotta be perfect. As soon as you slip up, they're pulling you down.
Yes, you do. And it takes a minute to get back up too.
It does. It does, like a diet. So our next question, we're going to get somebody different on this one. You're missing an auto payment. How badly will it hurt?
I say it's gonna bring us at least below 640. At least.
Below 640?
Yeah, like 630, maybe.
All right.
I agree.
Let's go to 630.
Jonathan, can you cut your camera on?
Yeah, I could put my camera.
Okay.
Okay. I keep missing 630 when I'm trying to drag it, but I got it at 631.
That's the best.
Okay.
I was close enough.
You were very close. Took us down 88 points to 644.
Wait, so I have a question.
Wait, oh, go ahead.
So in real life, would the first payment affect more than this auto payment, or would it be switched around?
And that's really up to the credit reporting bureau.
Okay.
On how they judge it. I like to reflect how somebody tells me we're not in charge of our consequence, we're only in charge of our action.
Oh, I had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So depending on the scenario. So like the last one was a credit, right? And that last one was, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out.
It was an
The
auto.
the auto payment. Is it, depending on it, is it gonna ruin your score more if it's something more severe, I guess? So like, yeah. Or does it not
Yes,
really matter?
It did seem like the auto payment affected it more. And also, this isn't really telling us the full information, like if it's a 30 or a 60. I'm assuming that each of those was a 30. But I would say normally if you do get to the point of a 30, normally the thing to do at that point is contact your credit reporting agent, contact whoever your credit card is or the card, and maybe you can work something out to where they don't report that late payment. If you are making immediate payment, sometimes they will work with you so you don't get those hits on your credit report. Okay. All right. Scenario 3. In a 180-degree turn, you file for bankruptcy. What type of hole does that blow through your credit score? Does everybody understand what bankruptcy basically means?
You lose your money.
You have basically told them that you can't afford to pay your bills. So does anybody want to take a guess as to what that will do?
Jonathan, you're unmuted. You can speak.
I think we're gonna go down to like 500 or lower.
I was gonna say we're gonna go to 300, like all the way.
300. I don't know. I feel like
Nah,
that's
that wouldn't
too
make
low.
sense.
I
It's
feel
like no
they're
way.
300, 350.
You that
300,
big.
350. All right, 350 then. 350.
350.
That's
350.
still so low though. That wouldn't
I
make sense.
feel like it'd be like in the
350.
590.
Listen, if I'm right, listen, if I'm right,
If I'm
you guys
right.
owe me something. You guys owe me something. You need
Yo,
to-
I don't owe you.
Jonathan, if you right, I'll pay for your dress down day on Thursday.
I'm gonna
Oh, let's go. And I'm making sure you pay on Thursday, so it's $5.
I'm gonna
I'm
put
paying
it
on
in the
Monday
middle
for
since
$1.
we've got a little
I
dispute
feel like
of it.
it's not gonna be that low though, because if you're at like a green, I feel like they're gonna know that you'll pay it back eventually, but it'll obviously take you
But
a
it's
while.
bankruptcy.
It's
Bankruptcy.
It's
It's hard to get that money back.
Oh, we'll find out then.
So let's
Okay.
see. I put it in the middle at 450. Couldn't get there. He was very close. 369. Went down 363 points. So we went from that 732 down to 369.
Wait, so even if you're like it's like even if you're a model citizen, you do everything right, like they'll still like
Yeah,
they'll
bankruptcy is
come after you
basically
and stuff.
because what they have to do in a bankruptcy for most of your credit. Now, this doesn't count for school loans because that falls under something different. But they basically have to tell all your creditors to wipe your slate away. You cannot, whatever situation you're in, you can't afford to pay them. So the $5,000 credit card that you have, that they're just wiping away. And so now nobody got paid. So now they don't feel that you are trustworthy when it comes to credit. Okay. Now scenario 4.
Mario, do you want to do the breakdown or
Oh, I'm sorry.
after you finish this?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood the breakdown of.
Oh, the break. The,
Oh.
10-minute break.
Oh, I had lost track of time. Let's do one more question and then we'll do the break.
Cool.
This one last scenario. After a good run of sparing credit cards, you max out all your credit cards. You lose 100% utilization. What is that going to cost you?
Everything.
That must be
Yeah.
300 or something.
I think your credit's going all the way
310.
down, bro.
All the way
300
down.
You're
straight.
probably going below.
That's
like,
300.
300.
Thank you. Thank
below.
you.
You're going below 300,
Thank
man.
you.
320.
And if
Yeah,
they,
you
and if
done
they
scared 'em
don't like
straight
it,
Like I'm
it's
being
gonna
too
be-
nice
scared 'em
now.
Like, how?
All right, so I took us down to the very low of 300. So let's see what that.
You see, there's no way. You see, this game is rigged.
This is what happens.
What?
You see,
That doesn't make
I was being too
But now
nice.
Hold up.
remember,
What?
the bankruptcy, you even though you have maxed out and used them, it's taking you hard, but you're still probably making some type of payments.
But it's 100%. You max out all your credit cards. Lose
Yes.
all of
You
that.
basically use
That's
all access to your
100%.
credit.
100. It had to be at least 400. How's it 592?
So,
More like, what's the difference between maxing them out and then just being bankrupt, I guess? Because wouldn't that be kind of the same? Because
well, no,
Out of
maxing
money.
them out is actually saying you've utilized everything that they were willing to give you. It doesn't say that you're not making payments. So if you were authorized 5,000 and now you've used all 5,000 of that, but you're still making the $50 or $75 monthly payments, you're still showing them something. But remember, in the bankruptcy example, everything is wiped clean. They're not going to get anything from you because you have said, I can't afford to pay you anything.
It's more so like context clues. Like they said specifically, you have nothing to offer, as opposed to this, where they never said that in the first place.
Yes.
Ernest, what are you doing?
All right. So we're going to have to stop for a break because I could probably go with you all night. So it is 7:18 now. So let's come back at 15 minutes, 7:33.
Whoa, sir. That is extremely too long.
That's too long?
Why would you say
What,
that?
Jeremy? What are you doing, bro? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Jeremy? What's wrong with
You
you?
can
Give me a
do.
break.
You still owe me $1.
Bro, what the heck is wrong with you?
We don't need that long of a break.
Who is we? Who is we?
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, Mario, you can do 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
They are
Okay.
really into this class. You can do 10 minutes.
Okay. So we'll come back. It's 7:19 now. So let's come back at 7:29.
Yes.
Right.
Let me turn my mic off.
All right, 7:29, everybody.
Let me turn my mic off so I can scream into the distance. It's right here. Can't turn it off.
We've been wildin'. We've been on top for a while and let my crowd in. Fresh like everyday Easter, think I got a stylist. Had to shake back, get right, make my mama the proudest. Feel it in my body, can't nobody stop it. Drippin' like fluid, let my light shine like jewelry. Gotta stay humble, give it up. World is jungle. Give it up. You ain't gotta stand up to the secrets. Bought the whip and now you got the beat slip. Play the beat, he ate it up like a deep dish. Hammer time, that's to put him on the reach list. Sliding on the beat by Metro. Y'all's probably riding on the Metro. We in Atlanta where they call the gas petrol. Sign a record deal and hit the road, let's go. 20,000 in the crowd on stages. Birthday bash in Atlanta was amazing. Went to Diddy house with me, that's a day trip. They ain't know you really living in the Matrix. I seen them come straight out the east. Zaytoven gave him some beats. I told the young lion go eat. Follow the shepherd, watch out for the beast. They say there's no church in a while, but we've been wildin'. We've been on top for a while and let my crowd in. Fresh like everyday Easter, think I got a stylist. Had to shake back, get right, make my mama the proudest. Feel it in my body, can't nobody stop it. Drippin' like fluid, let my light shine like jewelry. Gotta stay humble, give it up. World is jungle. Give it up.
I just came in with the Billy Goat gruff. When you bridging the gap, it got trolls on him. When they threw them stones at him, he rolls on him. He got too many dubs, he dove on him. From the test, he gon' lift up the doors. Had to keep it going automatically. He brought the kid out the east, now they mad at me. Gasper right back, I put that on your majesty. They bump their head, they must forgot who done opened the door. When crack came out, he made y'all switch up the flow. I think it's about time that I get y'all exposed. Y'all ain't really saving no souls. See, you treat religion like X's and O's. Y'all playing tic-tac-toe. They still worry about gold. Cradle with platinum.
They say there's no church in a while, but we've been wildin'. We've been on top for a while and let my crowd in. Fresh like everyday Easter, think I got a stylist. Had to shake back, get right, make my mama the proudest. Feel it in my body, can't nobody stop it. Drippin' like fluid, let my light shine like jewelry. Gotta stay humble, give it up. World is jungle. Give it up.
Y'all ready? What we doing? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. 1-6.
Young boy got bands on me. Mama just lay hands on me.
Last year I was down bad, but had big plans for me.
Calling plays like Ben Tony. Grinding like I got fans on me.
Rolling like I got wheels on me. Boy said I'm trying to live holy.
Ay, I'm just trying to live righteous. Ay, made it through a life crisis. Ay, legalism ain't no license. Ay, gave God all of my vices. Ay, trying to step out of my cycle. Raising my kids and raising my FICO. Trying to go to heaven, not viral. I like the words in my Bible. All I ever wanted was some better understanding. But I'm still with the drama like I'm Don Cannon.
conservative. So I gotta pop it for the paparazzi. I'm a gospel rapper, time to copyright it. When I told the streets, they all got excited. Now I'm in a trap cause I got invited. Not an insider, but an outsider. I'm an east sider, you're a clout rider. I see you covered up in that living clean. You got a mask on with no sanitizer.
Young boy got bands on me. Mama just lay hands on me.
Last year out down bad, but had big plans for me.
Calling plays like Dan Tony. Grinding like I got vans on me.
Rolling like I got wheels on me. Boy said I'm trying to live holy. What we doing? I like to move it. Jumped off the porch, now I'm just coolin'. I had to change my mood in life. When I woke up, it's not just Judy. I like to move it. So please get out the way, excuse me. I like to move it. Jumped off the porch, now I'm just coming in. Hammer time number 2. What you gonna do when the tidal wave pull it with a top boom? Had to say a prayer on the floor like it's war room. I was in the courtroom, you was in your room. Every time the police came to my door, I just shook my head, knowing way better watch a cartoon. It's a whole lot of y'all walking around looking so crazy. I ain't even gonna laugh, I'ma talk to them. You need to go change your life, yo man. You ain't been up in the kitchen with the passing pen. Never did dirty, had to wash your hands. You ain't been so hurt that you could barely stand. Boy, you better not go out stupid. If it's gonna go up tonight, don't shoot it. I got the light on me, can't lose it. Why would you lose your life? That's foolish. I like to move it. Jumped off the porch, now I'm just coolin'. I had to change my mood in life. When I woke up, it's not just Judy. I like to move it. So please get out the way, excuse me. I like to move it. Jumped off the porch, now I'm just coolin'. Yeah. Hammer time boys in the building. What we doing?
Say something, move it. How about the whip, let's do it. Jump out the stage, I'm too lit. Jump back and get on the bus, I'm coolin'. I'm in the script making sure I don't slip while I'm fishing outside in the poolin'. I tell her bro I'm a show on the road, so I pull out my Bible to schoolin'. It's too many rappers who don't know their mission, they want my position. Too caught up in numbers, or caught up in wondering if I'm a Christian. Light of the world till the king is back. We out here smoking that demon pack. You could tell Lucifer go get his shooters and look for us anywhere Jesus at.
I like to move it. Jumped off the porch, now I'm just coolin'. I had to change my mood in life. When I woke up, it's not just Judy. I like to move it. So please get out the way, excuse me. I like to move it. Jumped off the porch, now I'm just coolin'. And I'm coming in. S.O.A.R, reminiscing, leaning on that kind of jail wall. All I wanna do is go to heaven. I know some of y'all thinking I'm just tryna go to hell. Well, no. What I gotta do to keep my brothers on the safe side? Lost so many homies, I wish I could change a lot. What I gotta do? What I'm supposed to do when they be lying on the outside? Made it through the jungle, I done probably seen it all. Change it. Switch it. Flip it. Yeah. Straight from overseas on the islands with the miss. Had to flood a finger, diamond sleeping with the fish. She thought I was playing, had to end it with no kizzy. Can't go to the past, if I do it, might get dizzy. Snaking in the grass, you say S in Mississippi. Snaking. All my brothers Smiley, they no longer shoot it Ricky. Used to backseat of the car and I was with him, Lord forgive me. Lord. He was acting goofy in that room, he turned to Mickey. Turned to Mickey, man. Switch it. Flip it. Yeah.
Parties in the hills, that was overkill. I need Jesus in my life, depression on my heel. Daddy never cared, he was never there. Got me running to these ladies with designer hair. In the party, I saw Offset and Cardi. Said I was praying for him, they said thank you when he partied. Skate around the city, goofy footed, feeling gnarly. This in the Exodus track number 9, Bob Marley. God told me through the scriptures I was reading to serve all of these people in the system cause they need it. So when you hear me speaking or sliding on the B10, hope it inspire you to visit prison on the weekend.
All I gotta do is make me one call, that's all. Reminiscing, leaning on that kind of jail wall. All I wanna do is go to heaven. I know some of y'all thinking I'm just tryna go to hell. Well, no. What I gotta do to keep my brothers on on the safe side. Lost so many homies, I wish I could change a lot. What I'm supposed to do when they be lying on the outside? Made it through the jungle, I done probably seen it all. Switchy. Switchy.
All right, we are back.
I have a question.
Yes.
I see the amazing Black Panther on your wall, and I just gotta ask if you're watching the movie tomorrow or anytime soon.
Oh, yes. Yes. My lady and I already have our tickets pre-purchased in advance. I'm debating on which Black Panther gear I'm going to wear when I go. Because I have a mask. I have a lot of gear for it. So she says I do a little bit extra when I do stuff. So hey, that's me though.
Wait, who is going to watch the movie?
I think I'm watching it on Sunday. So I'm gonna stay
We're
off
watching it
TikTok.
tomorrow.
I got no spoilers.
I
I'm
don't
watching
know.
it.
I was
Please don't
gonna
give
try to watch
spoilers.
it this weekend, but the movie theaters are packed. So I gotta wait until it dies down a bit.
Yes, no spoilers. You have to stay off social media because people that see it the first showing and they're like, oh, let me tell y'all what happened. Come on, bruh. Stop it. All right. So we're gonna jump right back in because I really lost track of time on that last one. So we are gonna get back in with the slideshow here. Hold on one second. All right. And my slideshow. So I want to talk about the types of credit. And when you're doing your credit, when you're doing your types of loans and things like that, they do look at it positive when you have different types of credit. When you have a revolving credit, that's basically those credit cards. Most of the credit cards are revolving credit. You know, you're given that maximum borrowing power. You make charges up to that limit. Installment loans, specific type of money. You're looking at your student loans, your car loans, mortgages. Those are big examples of that. Charge cards, I put that in there. This is probably I'm old school. This used to be when I was younger and coming up, but that's very rare that they have these days. And you won't see many charge cards. You will have service, like I said, for gas. Some of your like Mobile or Exxon may have their own credit card and things like that. That's specific for their service. Now, credit cards versus debit cards. You know, because your bank may offer you a debit card. Your bank may also offer you a credit card, and it's very important to know the difference on it. Now, the debit card is going to be linked directly to your account, whatever checking account you have with that bank. So if you have $300 in your account at that time, that's basically what you can spend up to $300. You can't go over. If you do go over, they may allow you to go over, but then they're going to hit you with some fees, some very serious fees that you don't want to do. The bad thing with the debit cards now, they're not helping you build credit as opposed to a credit card. You know, the credit card, we had talked about those briefly before. You're borrowing their funds. So you may not have to have that $5,000 on hand, but the credit card allows you to spend up to that amount. And that's going to actually help you build your credit. And then when you're choosing a card, as we'll talk about a little bit, couple more slides, some of these cards offer you different bonuses, but you have to make sure that it plays out in your favor. You know, if you're looking for airline mileage, there are different cards that offer airline miles for dollars that you spend. Some of them will give you cash back. The thing that you need to make sure you understand what the cash back is, you're still having to spend money to get the cash back. So you want to make sure you're still using it responsibly so that the interest that you're paying each month, hopefully you're not, hopefully you're paying it off, But if you are paying some interest, that is not outweighing the benefit of the cash back, because then you've essentially wiped out the deal of the credit card. So the main goal on this is you have to be fiscally responsible. And I do believe y'all talked about this in the previous class. Why is credit important? Why we need good credit? We touched on it a little bit today earlier. Your interest rates are going to be lower if you have a higher credit score. If you have a lower credit score, they're going to want to charge you more. So the same $1,000 loan you get, for one instance, you have a high credit score and they're charging you, let's say 8%. But now you take somebody else who has a lower credit score and that same $1,000 loan, they're being charged 20%. That's why you want to make sure that you're taking care of that credit score.
Jonathan has a question.
Okay, what's the question?
My question is, for debit cards, why don't debit cards help improve your credit?
Basically because you're just using the cash that you already have at the bank. So you're not using credit. Remember how we talked about what credit actually is? You're asking someone to use for permission to use money that you don't have. But with a debit card, this is money that you already have. It's your money and it's almost cash essentially. So it would be the same thing as paying with cash. So when you're using cash, you're not building up any credit. It's pretty much the same principle.
All right.
Just cash that you're not just carrying it around in your pocket, but it's yours. Any other questions? Very good question. All right. And remember, our employers, our landlords, and things like that, those are also people who are looking at our credit reports. They want to make sure that, we have this reputation that we pay our bills.
They also look at your Facebook and social media.
They do. They do that as well. Monitoring your credit. Now, this is when we talk about the different apps and things like that. Credit Sesame, Wallet Hub, Nerd Wallet, Credit Karma. There are a bunch more out there. These are the ones that I've become familiar with. Credit Karma I have underlined because that's the one that I particularly use. The main thing that I have with each of those, because I don't like to spend money if I don't have to, all of these are free. I'm really big on free. And they also offer you personalized credit card offers. So when you're logged into them, I can go into Credit Karma. I can pull up my score at any moment. They know which cards that I have a high probability of being accepted for. Now, just because those cards are on there and I have a high probability doesn't mean that I should go ahead and apply for them. It's up to me at that point to decide, can I handle that? Is it going to be fiscally responsible of me to apply for this card? Because now that's a hard inquiry on my credit report. And then I have to look in and see, does this card have what I want it to have? Is it offering me some type of bonus that's going to benefit myself? What does the interest rate look like on this? Things like that. And again, that's a personalized thing that you have to decide at that moment, which one is the most beneficial for you. They also offer financial advice where they're offer you tips on improving your credit score. When you go into Credit Karma and it shows you your score, you can look at it and say, okay, maybe I have a high usage and I need to pay some of these down. Things like that. Some of them even offer classes on it where you can log in and there's some type of blog, whatever, and there's financial classes to help you help you along the way. Getting fiscally responsible and financially educated doesn't stop with today. It doesn't stop when you're an adult. I'm still learning different things. Trust me, it's a never-ending process. You never want to stop learning, because the way things change, you definitely want to stay on top of your credit and your financial situation.
I have a question.
Sure.
Have you personally used any of these apps yourself? Because most apps nowadays are just they're just scams for your money, and most of them aren't even valid or true. Like I see advertisements all the time on social media that just try to bait you into buying a product that basically doesn't exist. So I just want to know if you have any experience with them.
Credit Karma is the one I use personally. I use that. I don't have any complaints about them. They do what I need them to do. They report to Equifax and TransUnion on a weekly basis. And this will get to the point, it's going to actually happen in the next slide. The one thing I like about them is that they do 2 of the 3 credit reports that I need. So actually, I'm gonna skip ahead to this next one. When it comes to monitoring credit, that free credit report that you can get every year from annualcreditreport.com, they give you those. You can choose which one of those you want from. But when we go back to this one right here for Credit Karma, for me, I can get my report from Credit Karma on Equifax and TransUnion. So when I go to free annual, I don't need them from Equifax and TransUnion from them. I need them to give me Experian. That's all I need from them. It's not even, I don't have to decide, because I want all 3. All 3 is having importance. So yes, I use Credit Karma and I've been pretty happy with it.
I have a question.
Sure.
For like any of the higher ups in general that are here, like, have you ever experienced a time where like someone gave you like a credit card and it had like a high usage, and you used like all the money like past it?
Yes. my first credit card in college, got my little $500 credit limit, and like Mario said, I was like, oh, I got $500, so I spent $500 that week. And that's on my credit card. Oh yeah, I bought a stereo and food and some other stuff, and they went my credit card.
Yeah, but food does not cost $400. That stereo must have been $300.
Not to stock up for college.
Ramen,
Okay,
juice, yeah,
soda.
yeah. Understandable.
And
but the stereo was $300 by itself. So.
I will tell you, during this past year, I know my credit score took a dip because I used my credit cards. It was some home repairs that I wanted to get done. My driveway was in serious need of repair. My awning in the back from my rear porch, it needed repair. All these things can seem to happen at one time. My fence was essentially falling apart, and I was risking of my dog getting out of my yard when I was letting her out. And I needed to upgrade numerous things at the same time. So I used my credit cards, and I have a Christmas bonus that's coming up from my job, and I'm going to have to use that to pay off some of these credit cards. Yeah. I used it, and thankfully I'm still on a plan I'm still have a 0% for the next 6 months on this card. So that's what I utilize. I know that I need to hit this card hard in the next 6 months, because I don't want to pay that interest rate. Any other questions before we move on?
I was gonna comment, not a question. One hack with Experian.com, you can actually get a free report. You just cancel within that 30 or 45-day window. And you get it from all three, actually, which you can do too, Experian.com.
There you go. I'm a big fan of anything I can get for free. That's why there are going to be other things you can get. Some you have to pay for, some you don't. These are the ones that I knew about, but yes, that's a good point. Experian.com, and then just close it out. Don't keep it. And then I listed some of the things up there that you may already, well, as you get older, if you have an account with Andrews Federal Credit Union or Navy or certain credit unions, you can get your credit score that way, and credit reports. The one thing I have to remind people too, when you're opening up, whether it's checking or savings accounts, they had a new rule to where they're doing hard inquiries to basically verify who you are. So even if you're just opening up a savings account at Andrews Federal and you want to put your own $500 in, they're going to do a hard inquiry to verify your account. This is one of the rules since 9/11 that happened in. So just be mindful of that when you're opening up accounts, that expect a hard inquiry on your account, on your report.
That can drop you easily by 25 points. You don't want to have too many inquiries too. So that gets you to applying for multiple cards.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it can. Yeah. These are some ways of establishing your card, especially when you're new, or if your card is in need of, if your account is in need of repair. Secured accounts, basically for a credit card, if you deposit $500 into their savings and that $500 becomes your credit card amount. So that's a way that you can establish and build some credit. That the monitoring apps we talked about, piggybacking, basically, and this is normally something I've only seen a parent does, because you have to really trust somebody where they will allow you to be a part of their credit card. So you get to take advantage of their already good credit, and then you're building your own credit at that time now, because you're utilizing their good credit name. You know, this is the part where, you know, if you have done some damage and you have to improve your credit, the first thing I told you, make sure that you can't improve your credit if you don't have the information. So again, I go back to what I was talking about before, educated consumers. You're going to need to have those credit reports. And since everyone doesn't report to the same credit reporting bureau, you're going to want to have all three. And that way you can dispute different things if it's not, when I talked about, let's say, the name that was on your credit report and that wasn't you. That's something that you may dispute because someone may have opened up something fraudulently and it became a part of your report and it's actually not you. So that's why you should be understanding of what is actually on your credit report. There are credit repair companies out there, and I tell everyone to be wary. Make sure you do your research on those. You can improve your own credit score by doing the work. If you put in the work, you can improve your score. The Federal Trade Commission actually just closed down a company, Financial Education Services, I believe their name was, summer of this year, because they had a lot of reports and they were scamming people. So, and there are people, they will target different people because of you're a student. So they may try to approach you that way. I've seen different repair companies, they try to come at me because you're military. They attempt to use different angles. That's why, again, I want y'all to be extremely educated and be wary of these. So if you're able to put in your own work to monitor and keep your own credit, you'll feel good about it yourself because you'll know what's in it. You won't have to depend on somebody else to just come in with a magic pill and they've improved your credit and you don't know what happened. No, this was you putting in the work, you knowing what's there, you being educated. And then the great part about it, you become educated, you can share that with your family, friends, and loved one. And you can make sure that the people in your circle all around you remain educated. You just keep it going, you pay it forward. Now, establishing business credit. We cannot go without this establishing business credit because I know we have some future entrepreneurs here. You know, you have to have that checklist. The first thing you want is your business name. And you're gonna want a federal employment identification number. That's basically like your social security number for your business. You're going to get things like your business address and email. And now when you're first attempting to get business credit, your business doesn't have any credit at that point. So what do you think they're going to go and look at? Anybody want to guess?
Your credit score.
Yes, that's exactly right. Your personal credit score. So even when you're going to go with a business credit, we're going to come full circle back and they're going to say, well, how's your personal credit? So that's something, again, how it's going to pay a part in that. You can open up a bank account in your business name and hopefully you'll make some deposits, things like that, where you build up a relationship with that bank and they'll issue you a credit card for your business. And you will try to get a DUNS number. So now when you get that DUNS number, that's basically going to be where your business is going to be establishing its own credit. And where you can you'll still be tied to your business, but there'll be some separation because your business will have a DUNS number. And now when you apply, when you're looking at a bank account, again, you want to make sure that you do a little bit of research into the bank. You want to make sure that this bank has the services, or this credit union, they have the services that's going to benefit your business. If your business let's say is in real estate, hopefully this bank or this credit bureau, they do business, or maybe they are looking at foreclosures to where you can get inside lists and things like that, to where you can be on their mailing list. So it's something you want to make sure that you can benefit from opening up your business with them, because they're definitely going to benefit from opening up with you. When you're putting in money, we can get into how the whole bank system works. That will be for another time. But you want to make sure that it suits you and your business that you're establishing. Any questions on that before I move to the next one? Okay. I want to leave y'all with this example, emergency fund, because savings is extremely important. I give this money challenge as an example of $1 weekly, and basically where you're increasing it, or if you keep it the same, $1 a week. If you put into a bank at the end of the year, you can have $52. If you increase that by $1 each week, week 1, you're putting in $1. Week 2, you're putting in $2. Week 3, you're putting in $3. You're just increasing it. By the end of that 1 year, you've got almost $1,400 saved. It's the one thing I don't I don't like to see people say when they're saying that, well, I don't have this amount, so I'm not going to do anything. Small steps can have a lasting effect. You know, it was an account I opened up $50 a month. That's all I did for my retirement fund, one of them anyway. It's probably about 20 years old now. But just putting $50 a month and letting it grow, it grew to $35,000. So I reiterate with you, just small steps that you do can have a lasting effect. The steps that you're doing in this class tonight and all the times you're doing with the whole program with S.O.A.R, lasting effects for the rest of your life. It's up to you to keep using it to the best of your ability and just become an educated person. And I'll take any more questions. We are at the end of my presentation.
I have a question.
Sure.
So for people who want to know how to be smart when it comes to credit cards, how do you know what you need and how do you know when to plan ahead for the future? Let's say you need something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have a payment due at the end of the month. How do you balance out what to do?
The easiest way I can say to do that is to create a budget. Create a budget so that you know what you're bringing in, what you have to pay out, and what you have left. So then once you know what you have left after you've paid the bills, now you can decide, okay, well, let's suppose at the end of this month, I have $100 left over. So I know I'm trying to plan for, I don't know, I want the PS5 for my birthday. That's one of the things I'm trying to save up for. But I also want to have emergency fund. So out of that $100, let's suppose I take $60 for my emergency fund and I'm taking $40 and I'm putting it for my PS5 fund. So it really all depends on your exact situation. But the easiest answer I can have is make a budget. A budget is going to help you throughout. Any other questions?
Guys, the class evaluation is in the chat. Please take a moment to do the evaluation.
Yes, and before
Drop an E
everybody,
in the chat when you're done.
sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Multitasking. I'm at a community event, so but I'm here. I'm on class tonight too. But I just wanted to say thank you to Professor Gray. Amazing job. Also one of my counterparts in the United States Air Force. So I was just asked to wish you and everyone else, all our military personnel out there, a very happy Veterans Day. So Professor Gray, I know you probably mentioned that you are in the United States Air Force, and so super proud to be amongst one of the greats. And so happy. Yes, we are less than 1 month away. Thank you, Jeremy. He's gonna be our spokesperson for our gala. But happy Veterans Day to Professor Gray. And
Wait,
to the
is that today?
students. That's tomorrow, but we won't be here tomorrow, right?
Oh,
so we're saying it
okay,
tonight.
okay. Gotcha.
Happy
Yeah.
Veterans Day to Professor Gray and to everybody else.
Yes.
And then also students, scholars, who plans on coming to the gala? I know Jeremy, your family, I mean, you guys lit it up. That's about, y'all gonna be about 6 deep. That's so dope. Yes, y'all gonna be about 6 deep. Did you see the newsletter today? It's posted all over social media, all
I
in the
saw it on
emails.
Instagram.
Yes, I'm telling you, you superstar. That's what we do. We rock. We. That's how we rock it out. We make y'all superstars. But I need to know. We do need to know, like, just for planning purposes, who plans on attending the gala? Just by a show of hands or in the chat. December 9th.
So if we're going, like, us personally, do we have to RSVP? How do
You
we
do, yes.
RSVP?
You have to
do
go.
we-
So I've been sending you guys emails. You guys got to check your emails, okay? Because the email, sorry, in the email, there's the RSVP link. You go to the link. You don't have to pay, but you do have to go in and RSVP using the special code that we provided to you guys. I can't say it on this line because it's recorded. Actually, we can stop the recording. But it is the special code that you guys can use. And we sent it to you via